The great chamber of the Interstellar Council was unlike any place ever built by human hands. Its walls glowed with a soft blue light that seemed to come from the very stone itself. Floating platforms carried representatives from dozens of species, each seated in a circle around the central stage. Above, the ceiling opened into a great dome of glass, revealing the endless stars that stretched beyond. For humanity, this chamber was more than just a meeting place. It was a symbol of achievement. Earth had entered the Council only a few decades ago, yet already humans were becoming known for their strong voices and clear vision. At the center of this progress stood Chancellor Marcus Hale. Chancellor Hale was not a man of wealth or privilege. He was the son of a teacher and a soldier, raised in the crowded cities of Earth where struggle was a daily companion. From those roots he learned both discipline and compassion. Over the years he rose to power not through fear or promises of glory, but by speaking in words people could trust. On this day, Hale stood before the gathered species. His tall figure, dressed in the simple but dignified robes of Earth's diplomats, shone under the lights. His voice carried steady across the chamber. "Brothers and sisters of the galaxy," Hale began, "our future depends not on walls between us, but on bridges. Humanity has known war, loss, and struggle, yet we also know that cooperation brings peace. Together we can build a future where no child of any world grows under the shadow of fear." Many delegates listened with quiet respect. Some nodded while others whispered to their aides. Humanity was young compared to the ancient empires around them, but there was something in Hale's tone that captured attention. Yet, hidden among the shadows of the chamber, danger watched silently. Far above the dome, invisible to the untrained eye, a figure clung to the support beams, wrapped in a suit that bent light around it. The figure blended perfectly with the background. Its breathing was slow, steady, controlled. The assassin's eyes fixed on Hale, and a cold plan played in its mind. The assassin was no ordinary killer. Rumors whispered of the Obsidian Syndicate, a shadow organization that thrived on chaos, selling death to the highest bidder. Their methods were flawless, their targets rarely survived. To take the life of Earth's Chancellor here, in the Council chamber itself, was more than murder. It was a message. As Hale's speech continued, the assassin's fingers tightened around a strange weapon. It was not like human rifles or alien blasters. This one was small, sleek, designed to leave no trace. With one silent pulse it could end a life instantly. "Let us not think of Earth as new or small," Hale said, his eyes sweeping the chamber. "Think of us as partners, as brothers in this shared sky. If one of us is wounded, all of us must rise." The words were his last. A sharp flash, almost too quick to see, cut through the air. For a heartbeat, no one understood what had happened. Hale's voice stopped. His body stiffened. Then before the stunned eyes of the Council, he fell. Gasps filled the chamber. Delegates leapt from their seats. Some shouted for guards, others ducked in fear. Alarms blared, their echoes bouncing off the shining walls. Human guards rushed to their leader's side, lifting him carefully, but it was too late. The weapon had been precise, striking in a way no doctor could undo. Marcus Hale, Chancellor of Earth, lay silent. In that moment, time itself seemed to hold its breath. The assassin vanished into the shadows, leaving only confusion behind. The Council's security forces scrambled, scanning every corner, but the killer was gone as if it had never existed. Whispers rose like fire through dry grass. Who could have dared this? Was it a rival species, a secret rebellion, or something even darker? But on Earth there were no whispers. There was silence, followed by grief and then by anger. News spread faster than light. Across Earth's cities, people stopped to watch their screens. Marcus Hale's final words were replayed again and again, his call for unity echoing like a ghost through every household. Children cried. Families held each other. Soldiers clenched their fists. In the great capital of Earth, leaders gathered in emergency councils. Faces pale, voices trembling, they asked the same question. Who would dare strike at us this way? The loss of Hale was not just the loss of one man. It was the loss of a vision. He had been the one to bring humanity into the Council, to show the galaxy that Earth was not weak or divided. Without him, many feared the galaxy would turn against them. But among the sorrow, something else was born. On the streets, people lit candles and raised banners, not of defeat, but of determination. Soldiers placed their hands over their hearts and swore they would not let Hale's death be in vain. Engineers, pilots, and workers all came together, whispering the same words. Justice must be done. The galaxy, meanwhile, watched in silence. Many alien leaders feared what would come next. Humanity was young, yes, but also fierce. In less than a century, they had built fleets, settled colonies, and shown courage in conflicts. Now, with grief burning inside them, who could predict how they would strike back? Inside the council chamber, days later, Hale's empty seat stood draped in Earth's blue and white flag. Delegates spoke in careful tones, their voices heavy with guilt. Some offered sympathy, others suggested patience. But humanity's new representatives did not speak of patience. Admiral Rhea Donovan, commander of Earth's fleet, stood in Hale's place. Her eyes were sharp, her voice steady. "You ask us for calm," she said. "But our leader was killed in this very chamber, under your protection. This was not only an attack on Earth, it was an attack on the Council itself. If such shadows can strike here, then no leader is safe. We will not rest until the one responsible is brought to justice." Her words carried across the chamber like thunder. Some delegates nodded, others looked away. But everyone knew the truth. Humanity would not let this wound pass quietly. The assassin had vanished, but the trail of suspicion pointed toward the Obsidian Syndicate. For centuries they had thrived in the darkness, working for those who wished to keep their hands clean. Now humanity had every reason to tear them from their hidden lairs. On Earth, factories roared with renewed life. Fleets were armed, troops trained harder, and intelligence officers searched every fragment of data. Humanity's anger was not wild, it was organized, disciplined, focused. The galaxy had underestimated Earth, thinking them too young, too small to matter. But the assassination of Marcus Hale had awakened something powerful. Humanity was no longer the hopeful newcomer in the Council. They were the storm rising at its edge. And as the stars watched in silence, a single truth echoed across the void. The assassin had taken one man's life, but in doing so, had united an entire species. Humanity would rise, not in sorrow but in force. The stars above Earth burned brighter than ever before. But for the people of Earth, the night skies no longer felt like home. Since the assassination of Chancellor Marcus Hale, silence had wrapped around the planet. Screens still replayed his final words, his voice echoing across cities and colonies. Where once his speeches brought hope, now they brought sorrow. Yet sorrow never lasted long among humans. From the earliest days on Earth, humanity had faced storms, wars, and endless struggles, and each time they had risen stronger. Now, with Hale gone, grief was slowly transforming into something else: determination. The meeting of the Council of Earth, in the heart of Earth's capital. Deep within a secure underground chamber, the leaders of Earth gathered. Generals, admirals, scientists, and diplomats filled the round table. Screens on the walls showed colonies across Mars, the moons of Jupiter, and the great orbital stations, all connected in this single meeting. Admiral Rhea Donovan stood at the center. She had been Hale's closest military advisor, and one of the few people who had known how much pressure he carried. Her voice was calm, but there was fire in her eyes. "We cannot remain silent," she said, looking around at the gathered leaders. "Our Chancellor was killed in front of the galaxy. Whoever struck that blow wanted us to look weak. They wanted us to break. But we will not break. We will rise." General Elias Kor, an older man with sharp eyes, leaned forward. "Do we have proof of who is behind this? We cannot strike blindly." A murmur of agreement spread across the room. Proof mattered. Revenge without truth would only bring more chaos. At that moment, Director Selene Vey, head of Earth Intelligence, stood. She carried a thin tablet in her hands. "We traced energy patterns from the weapon used," she said. "It matches technology linked to the Obsidian Syndicate. They hide in the shadows, but their hand is clear." The room fell silent. The name carried weight. The Obsidian Syndicate was whispered about on many worlds, but never openly. They were a network of assassins, smugglers, and mercenaries, paid by powerful rulers who preferred their enemies to vanish without open war. To strike inside the Interstellar Council meant they were growing bold, or someone very powerful had given the order. Admiral Donovan placed both hands on the table. "If the Syndicate believes Earth will bow, they are wrong. We will not wait for others to protect us. We will bring justice, and if necessary, we will bring war." The factories of Earth awakened far from the council chamber. The call to arms began. Factories that once built exploration vessels now roared with new purpose. Massive machines stamped out armor plates for starships, while sparks flew from endless rows of welding lines. Engineers worked day and night, redesigning old models into war-ready craft. On Mars, workers cheered as the first of the new dreadnoughts was unveiled. The ship was named Hale's Resolve, its shining hull carrying the name of the fallen Chancellor. On the orbital rings around Earth, fleets of smaller fighters lined up in neat rows, their pilots practicing maneuvers before they even entered space. Humanity had always been quick learners. What other species built in centuries, humans pushed to complete in years. Now, with anger fueling them, progress moved even faster. The oath of the soldiers. In training grounds across the colonies, young men and women lined up in uniform. Many had volunteered the moment they heard of Hale's death. Some had been farmers, some miners, some scholars, but now they stood shoulder to shoulder, their eyes fixed forward. General Corps visited one such training base. The recruit stood silent as he stepped before them. His voice was heavy, steady, carrying the weight of history. "You stand here not just as soldiers of Earth," he said, "but as guardians of humanity. Our leader was taken from us not on the battlefield but by a coward's hand in the dark. We cannot change that, but we can choose what happens next. We choose to stand. We choose to fight. We choose to show the galaxy that humanity bows to no shadow." The recruits raised their right hands, swearing the oath of service. The words were simple: for Earth, for justice, for unity. The reaction of the galaxy. While humanity prepared, the galaxy watched. On distant worlds, alien leaders held secret discussions. Some were nervous. Humanity was young, and young species often acted rashly. If Earth struck too wildly, entire systems could be thrown into chaos. Others, however, began to respect the humans more than before. Many species had suffered attacks from the Syndicate but had been too fearful to resist. To see Earth rise so boldly gave them a spark of hope. Perhaps humanity would do what others could not: face the Syndicate directly. Still, whispers filled the council chambers. Some said humans were too dangerous, too aggressive. Others said they were exactly what the galaxy needed. The message to the Stars Admiral Donovan recorded a message, broadcast not only to the council but to every world within reach of human signals. She stood tall in her dark blue uniform, the flag of Earth behind her. "People of the galaxy," she said, her voice firm. "Our leader was killed not only as an attack on Earth, but as an attack on peace. The Assassin's masters believed fear would silence us. They were wrong. We will not retreat. We will not hide. Humanity does not seek war, but if war is forced upon us, we will answer with strength. Let it be known, Earth remembers, and Earth will act." The message spread like fire through the stars. On human colonies, people cheered. On alien worlds, leaders sat in silence, realizing that humanity had crossed a line. They were no longer newcomers seeking acceptance. They were rising powers demanding respect. The search for the truth. While fleets were prepared, Earth's intelligence agencies worked endlessly. Hidden satellites scanned deep space. Codebreakers intercepted messages between Syndicate cells. Spies risked their lives in shadowed stations, listening for even a whisper of truth. Every clue was pieced together carefully. Slowly, a trail began to emerge. Small Syndicate hideouts in the outer systems. Secret supply routes and coded transmissions that spoke of payment from an unknown benefactor. It became clear. The Syndicate had not acted alone. Someone powerful, someone afraid of Hale's vision for unity had paid for his death. The question was who? But even as the mystery deepened, humanity's resolve did not weaken. Whether the Syndicate acted alone or with allies, Earth would strike them first. The spirit of the people on Earth itself, people mourned, but they also united. Streets that once echoed with sorrow now carried banners of hope. Children painted stars on their windows, saying they were ready to see their parents protect the skies. Farmers donated supplies to soldiers. Factories worked extra hours without asking for pay. And musicians wrote songs of unity that spread across the networks. Hale had dreamed of unity between worlds. Now in his death, he had given humanity unity among themselves. No city, no colony, no outpost felt distant. Everyone felt connected to the same cause. The rising storm weeks passed. Human fleets grew stronger. Training intensified. The galaxy grew uneasy. Finally, Admiral Donovan gathered her top commanders. A massive star map appeared before them, glowing in the air. Points of light marked suspected Syndicate bases. She spoke quietly, but every word carried power. The time for mourning is over. The syndicate hides in the dark. But we will bring light to every shadow. They believe we are prey. They will learn we are hunters. The commanders nodded. Plans were set in motion. Fleets were positioned. Troops prepared for deployment. Humanity was ready to move. Closing of Part 2. The assassination of Chancellor Hale had been meant to weaken Earth. Instead, it had created something the galaxy had never seen before, a united humanity, armed not only with weapons but with unshakable resolve. The call to arms had been answered. The factories thundered, the soldiers trained, the fleets gathered, and across the stars the enemies of Earth felt the first tremor of fear. For humanity was no longer waiting. Humanity was coming. The stars stretched endlessly, but humanity's fleets now filled them with a presence that could not be ignored. No longer were humans only explorers or traders. Their ships now carried weapons, soldiers, and the heavy silence of determination. Since the assassination of Chancellor Hale, Earth had moved like a storm through preparation. Fleets were built, soldiers trained, and leaders swore oaths to bring justice. But preparation was only the beginning. To honor Hale's name, they needed to find the assassin's masters, and that meant entering the shadows where the Obsidian Syndicate lived. First Clues Director Celine Vey, head of Earth Intelligence, stood inside a secure chamber deep within the flagship Hale's Resolve. Screens floated before her, showing intercepted transmissions, coded signals, and fragments of reports from spies. Her voice was steady as she addressed the gathered admirals and generals. "The Syndicate is careful," she said. "They do not leave open trails, but every shadow leaves some mark. Our agents have traced unusual shipments of weapons and rare metals toward the outer sectors. These match the type of resources the Syndicate uses to build hidden bases." General Corps leaned forward. "Do we know which system?" "Not yet," Celine admitted. "But we have narrowed it to 3 clusters. We believe one of them hides the cell responsible for the Chancellor's death." Admiral Donovan's eyes studied the glowing map. "Then we will search them all. Humanity will not rest until truth is found." The journey to the outer systems, the fleets departed Earth's safe space and moved outward. The further they traveled, the less control the Council had. Many systems in the outer regions were half-lawless, filled with smugglers, mercenaries, and forgotten colonies. Here the Syndicate thrived. The Hale's Resolve led the way, surrounded by escorts. Smaller ships fanned out, scanning asteroid belts, abandoned stations, and mining outposts. On board, soldiers prepared for boarding missions. They checked their gear, cleaned their armor, and reviewed maps of alien stations. Though many had never fought in space before, their faces carried determination. They knew this was not just war. It was justice. First encounter. The first Syndicate outpost was discovered hidden inside a dead moon. From the outside, the moon appeared lifeless. But when human scouts scanned deeper, they detected faint energy pulses. Admiral Donovan ordered a strike team to investigate. The Iron Vow, a human frigate, moved close to the surface. Shuttles descended carrying squads of armored soldiers. They entered dark tunnels carved into the rock, their lights cutting through centuries of dust. Then, without warning, Syndicate guards attacked. Strange alien mercenaries, their faces covered in masks, opened fire. The tunnels shook with echoes of battle, but humanity fought with precision. Shields flared, boots slammed against stone floors, and disciplined fire cut through the ambush. Within minutes, the Syndicate guards were defeated. Inside the base, human soldiers uncovered data crystals, maps, and coded transmissions. The first real evidence had been found. When Admiral Donovan read the report, her lips tightened. "This is only the edge of their web," she said. "But it is a beginning." The fear spreads word of humanity's strike spread quickly. Smugglers whispered that the humans were no longer hiding behind Council law. They were hunting. On alien worlds, some cheered quietly. For years, the Syndicate had stolen from their colonies, kidnapped their people, and silenced their leaders. Now, for the first time, someone was striking back. But among the Syndicate's leaders, anger grew. To them, humanity was supposed to be young, easy to frighten, too small to matter. Instead, the humans had become hunters. Orders were sent. Stop the humans before they uncover more. The trap at Vera's Belt. The second clue led humanity to Vera's Belt, a field of asteroids orbiting a dying star. Intelligence suggested the syndicate was using the asteroids to hide a supply hub. The fleet entered cautiously, weaving between giant rocks of metal and ice. At first, everything seemed quiet, but then shadows moved. Syndicate warships emerged from behind asteroids, their sleek black hulls glowing with strange energy. Within moments, humanity found itself ambushed. The battle was fierce. Syndicate ships darted quickly, their weapons striking like needles. But human fleets fought with coordination. Carriers launched waves of fighters. Dreadnoughts unleashed heavy blasts, and frigates moved in formation like shields protecting one another. For hours, the asteroids flashed with fire. Explosions scattered debris across space, but humanity did not retreat. They pressed forward, breaking through the Syndicate's lines. When the battle ended, the Syndicate ships were destroyed and humanity stood victorious. In the wreckage, soldiers uncovered more evidence, lists of Syndicate contacts, records of payments, and most importantly, a name, the Crimson Rift. The Crimson Rift was a region of space feared even by smugglers. It was a vast scar in the galaxy where red storms of plasma twisted endlessly. Few ships entered and returned. If the Syndicate was hiding there, it meant they felt safe from pursuit. But Admiral Donovan only looked at the map and said, "Then that is where we will go." The fleets began their journey toward the rift. Along the way, soldiers trained harder, engineers repaired battle scars, and intelligence officers studied every fragment of data. Each day, the memory of Chancellor Hale guided them. His words of unity echoed in their minds. If one of us is wounded, all of us must rise. And rise they did. Doubts among the Council back in the Interstellar Council debate raged. Some leaders accused humanity of moving too aggressively, of risking the fragile peace. Others defended them, saying the Syndicate had gone too far and deserved to be destroyed. One alien delegate, a long-lived scholar, spoke quietly but with respect. The humans may be young, but they carry a fire the galaxy has not seen in centuries. They may succeed where all of us failed. Still, others feared what would happen if humanity grew too strong, yet none dared to interfere directly. The humans had already proven their will, and no one wished to become their enemy. The discovery of betrayal. As the fleets neared the Crimson Rift, Earth's intelligence uncovered something shocking. Among the data stolen from Syndicate bases, fragments of communication pointed to possible involvement from within the Council itself. Celine Vey presented the evidence to Admiral Donovan in a private chamber. "This suggests," Celine said carefully, "that someone within the Council paid the Syndicate to kill Hale, not just the Syndicate alone." Donovan's face darkened. "Then we are not only facing shadows, we are facing traitors hidden among so-called allies." The weight of the truth was heavy, but it only strengthened humanity's resolve. They would uncover the whole web, no matter how deep it stretched. The spirit of humanity, despite the dangers ahead, morale within the fleet grew stronger. Soldiers shared stories of their families, engineers painted Hale's words on the sides of ships, and pilots swore oaths to protect one another. What had begun as grief had now become something greater: unity. Humanity was no longer fighting as scattered individuals. They were fighting as one body, one voice, one will. Closing of Part 3. The Syndicate thought they could hide forever in shadows, but humanity had entered their web. With each battle, with each clue uncovered, the humans drew closer to the truth. The name of the Crimson Rift now burned in every soldier's mind. It would be dangerous, perhaps deadly, but it was the path forward. The assassin who had taken Hale's life was still out there, somewhere within the Syndicate's grasp. And humanity would not stop until justice was delivered. The storm was growing, and the galaxy began to realize that when humanity moved, nothing could stand in their way. The human fleets moved like a storm through the void, their engines glowing blue as they approached the most dangerous region known in the outer galaxy, the Crimson Rift. Here, space itself was hostile. Endless clouds of red plasma swirled in storms. Lightning arced between drifting rocks, and gravitational currents pulled unwary ships into destruction. Few dared to enter this region, but it was here, hidden inside the burning storms, that the Obsidian Syndicate had built their strongest fortress. Humanity had followed every clue, fought through ambushes, and uncovered betrayal. Now they stood on the edge of the rift, ready to strike at the heart of the shadows that had killed their chancellor. Preparing for the battle on board the flagship Hale's Resolve, Admiral Rhea Donovan addressed her commanders. A giant star map hovered in the air, showing the rift's chaotic storms and the faint outline of enemy positions. "The Syndicate believes this place protects them," she said firmly. "They think no one dares to face these storms. But we are not afraid. They took our leader. They wounded us. And now we will answer." Her officers nodded. They knew this would not be easy. The Syndicate fortress was protected by fleets of mercenaries and assassins, ships equipped with advanced cloaking systems and hidden weapons. The storms of the rift itself were as dangerous as any enemy, but humanity had come prepared. Engineers had reinforced hulls, pilots had trained in storm simulations, and navigators had studied every fragment of data about the rift. General Elias Corr spoke quietly. "Once we enter, there will be no turning back." Donovan's eyes hardened. "Then let us not turn back. Let us finish this." Entering the rift, the fleets pushed forward, their hulls glowing faintly as shields clashed with the storm's energy. Red lightning flashed across the skies, and waves of plasma lit the darkness like fire. Pilots tightened their grips on controls. Soldiers strapped in, silent but ready. Every heart carried the same thought. This is for Hale. This is for Earth. Suddenly, alarms rang. Ships appeared out of the storms, black, sleek Syndicate vessels, their weapons glowing with deadly light. The battle had begun. The first Clash Syndicate fighters swarmed forward, fast and agile, darting between the storms like shadows. Human fighters rose to meet them, forming protective wings around the larger carriers. Explosions lit the rift as the two forces collided. From the Hale's Resolve, Admiral Donovan directed calmly. "Hold formations. Do not chase them into the storms. Force them into our fire." Human ships moved with discipline. Where Syndicate ships tried to confuse with speed, humans countered with unity. Fleets formed shields of overlapping fire covering one another. When one ship weakened, another stepped forward. Slowly, the Syndicate attack broke apart. But more ships appeared, heavier cruisers, their cannons striking with massive blasts. The rift shook with energy. Donovan gave the order. "Bring the dreadnoughts forward." The great human dreadnoughts advanced. Their cannons lit the skies, striking Syndicate cruisers with thunderous force. One by one, enemy ships exploded, torn apart by the combined fire of Earth's vengeance. Boarding the enemy, as the fleets clashed outside, strike teams prepared for a different mission. The Syndicate fortress was hidden within a massive asteroid at the rift's center. Its shields were strong, but if humans could board it, they might uncover the assassin or their masters. General Corr led the first wave. Shuttles launched from human carriers racing through the storm under heavy fire. Syndicate turrets opened up, but escort fighters shielded the transports with their own lives. The shuttles slammed onto the asteroid's surface, cutting through armored hangars. Human soldiers poured out, weapons ready. The halls inside glowed with cold light filled with Syndicate guards, alien mercenaries, armored assassins, machines of war. The fighting was fierce. Every corner became a battlefield. Syndicate warriors struck from shadows, but humanity pressed forward, shield to shield, voice to voice. Their battle cries echoed, "For Hale! For Earth!" The turning point outside, the battle reached its height. Syndicate reinforcements arrived, an entire fleet of black warships rising from the storm like predators. For a moment, it seemed humanity might be overwhelmed. But Admiral Donovan refused to yield. She sent out a message to every ship: "Stand firm. If we fall here, humanity falls with us. But if we rise together. Do not fight for yourself. Fight for the one beside you. Fight for Earth." The message spread like fire through the fleet. Pilots shouted in reply, captains repeated the words, and engineers worked even faster to keep their ships alive. Together, the fleets pushed forward once more. The heart of the fortress inside the asteroid. General Corr's soldiers reached the central chamber. There, vast consoles glowed with Syndicate data, and at the center stood a single figure, the assassin who had killed Chancellor Hale. The figure's armor shimmered black, its face hidden behind a mask. In its hands was the same weapon that had ended Hale's life. For a moment, silence filled the chamber. Then the assassin spoke in a cold, distorted voice. "You should not have come. Humanity does not belong in the council. Your leader was a fool. His dream is dead." General Corr's reply was steady. You are wrong. His dream lives in us, and today we end yours. The battle began. The assassin moved like shadow, striking with speed beyond human eyes. But humanity had not come alone. Soldiers fought side by side, covering each other, forcing the assassin back step by step. In the end, it was not one soldier who struck the final blow. It was all of them. A coordinated strike, every soldier moving as one, overwhelmed the assassin. The figure fell, the weapon clattering to the floor. Hale's killer was no more. Collapse of the syndicate. With their assassin leader defeated, the syndicate forces faltered. Human fleets outside pressed their advantage, smashing through the last of the enemy warships. The asteroid fortress shook as systems collapsed, explosions tearing through its halls. General Corps ordered an evacuation. Soldiers raced back to their shuttles, carrying the stolen syndicate data with them. Behind them, the fortress crumbled into fire, swallowed by the rift's storms. When the humans returned to their fleet, Admiral Donovan looked at them with pride. The shadow has been broken. The syndicate is falling. Cheers erupted through every ship. For the first time since Hale's death, humanity felt the weight of victory. The Galaxy Watch's news spread across the stars. The Obsidian Syndicate, feared for centuries, had been defeated, not by ancient empires, not by the Council, but by the humans. On distant worlds, people celebrated. Colonies once crushed by Syndicate control lifted banners of freedom. Species that had lived in fear whispered humanity's name with respect. But in the council chambers, silence fell. Some leaders were uneasy. Humanity had proven not only strength, but unity and determination unmatched by older empires. If they could defeat the Syndicate, what else might they achieve? Others, however, bowed their heads in respect. Humanity had earned its place not as newcomers, but as equals. Closing of Part 4. The clash with the Syndicate had ended. Hale's assassin was gone, the fortress destroyed, and humanity victorious. But the stolen data hinted at something greater. A hidden hand within the Council itself that had ordered Hale's death. The war was not over. Shadows still lingered. But for now, humanity had risen stronger than ever. The galaxy had witnessed their strength, their unity, their will. And it understood one truth: Earth would never again be underestimated. The rift storms had grown quiet. Fragments of Syndicate ships drifted like broken teeth across the void, burning faintly as they fell into plasma currents. Human fleets stood scarred but alive. Engines flickered, hulls were scorched, and shields were drained. Yet the men and women aboard those ships carried pride in their hearts. For the first time in galactic memory, the Syndicate had not simply been challenged, it had been defeated. Admiral Rhea Donovan stood on the bridge of Hale's Resolve, staring at the drifting wrecks. She let the silence linger, then spoke softly, almost to herself. We did it. For Hale. For Earth. But she knew it was not the end. Victory had opened doors, but it had also raised questions. The stolen Syndicate data spoke of a secret hand behind Chancellor Hale's death. Somewhere, within the mighty Galactic Council itself, traitors still pulled strings. And humanity would not rest until the final truth was revealed. Council in shock far from the rift. In the glittering spires of the Galactic Council's capital, news of the Syndicate's fall spread like fire. Ambassadors gathered in the high chamber, their voices hushed, their eyes wide with disbelief. For centuries, the Syndicate had ruled the underworld unchecked, striking fear into every world. And now, in a single campaign, humanity had brought them to ruin. Some voices trembled with fear. If they can destroy the Syndicate, what will stop them from turning against us? Others spoke with respect. They fought not for conquest, but for justice. They honored their fallen leader. Should we not see their strength as a gift to the Council, not a threat? The debate raged, but the truth could not be denied. Humanity had proven itself. No longer could the older species dismiss them as newcomers. They were now a power to be reckoned with. Returned to Earth. The fleets returned home to Earth, greeted by a planet united in pride. Cities lit their skies with bright banners. Children painted stars on their faces, and voices shouted in joy across continents. Yet the return was not only celebration. In the capital, a solemn ceremony took place at Chancellor Hale's memorial. A crystal statue rose high into the sky, shining with light. Around it gathered soldiers, leaders, and citizens. General Elias Corr stepped forward and spoke to the crowd. His voice was strong but heavy with emotion. We stood at the edge of destruction, We were struck in the heart when Chancellor Hale was taken from us. But we did not bow. We did not break, we rose, and we carried Hale's dream into the stars. He paused, looking upward where the fleets drifted in orbit. Let the galaxy remember this. Earth stands together. No shadow can silence us. No storm can break us. We are human, and we endure. The crowd answered with thunderous cheers. Across the galaxy, recordings of the speech spread, reaching even the farthest colonies. Secrets of the data but celebration could not erase the shadows. In the halls of command, Admiral Donovan and her officers examined the stolen syndicate data. Holograms of coded transmissions flickered in the air, each line of text a clue. After days of analysis, the truth emerged. The syndicate had not acted alone. Someone in the council had whispered the order, fearing Hale's influence. Someone with power had believed that humanity's rise would upset the balance. The evidence pointed toward a faction within the council, a group of older empires who wanted to keep humanity weak. Donovan clenched her fist. So Hale's death was not only an assassination, it was betrayal from those who called themselves allies. General Corps' eyes narrowed. Then justice is not complete. Not yet. Journey to the Council humanity could not launch a war against the entire Council. That would doom them. But they could bring truth into the light. So Donovan prepared a fleet, not of warships alone, but of envoys, diplomats, and witnesses. Veterans of the Syndicate battle, survivors of Hale's death, and leaders of Earth's colonies all joined. Their destination, the Council capital itself. As their ships arrived, thousands of alien eyes turned toward them. For the first time, humanity entered the chambers not as a petitioner, but as a force carrying proof and victory. Trial of Shadows. The high chamber of the council was vast, filled with towering pillars of crystal and a ceiling that glowed with the light of captured stars. Delegates of 100 species filled the seats, their voices murmuring as the humans walked in. Admiral Donovan carried the syndicate data. General Corps walked beside her, and behind them came soldiers who had fought at the rift. They carried no weapons, but their presence was enough. They were living proof of humanity's strength. Donovan stood before the council and spoke clearly. Chancellor Hale was murdered. The syndicate's assassin struck the blow, but the order came from within these chambers. We bring evidence, and we demand truth. The hall erupted in whispers. Some denied the claim at once. Others fell silent, uneasy. The data was displayed. Holograms of secret transmissions. Council codes hidden within syndicate orders. The evidence was undeniable. One of the elder delegates rose, his voice trembling. This cannot be true. But the truth was there for all to see. Justice arrives. The investigation shook the council. The traitorous faction was exposed. Leaders who had feared humanity's rise and sought to keep them weak. Their faces showed shame as the galaxy watched. The council voted. The guilty were stripped of power and removed from their seats. Their worlds were placed under watch, their influence broken. At last, Hale's name was cleared. He had not been reckless nor naive. He had been silenced because he saw a greater future, one the fearful could not accept. And now that dream lived on. Humanity's new place. After the judgment, the council turned to the humans. For a moment, the chamber was silent. Then the council speaker rose and spoke in solemn tones. Humanity has shown courage. They faced the shadows when others would not. They brought truth when others chose silence. They have suffered, but they have not surrendered. From this day, humanity stands as a full power within this council. Their voice will be heard. Their place will be honored. Applause thundered through the chamber, echoing like waves. Delegates of other young species looked toward the humans with hope. If Earth could rise, perhaps they could too. The legacy of Hale back on Earth, Donovan and Corps stood again at Hale's memorial. The crystal statue shone brighter than ever, bathed in sunlight. Corps placed a hand on the base of the statue. We finished it, old friend. They tried to erase your dream, but now the whole galaxy knows it. Donovan nodded. Hale believed in a future where humanity would not stand alone, but beside others as equals. We have earned that place, but more than that, we have shown that justice cannot be silenced. They stood in silence for a while, watching children play near the memorial. The laughter of the young seemed like a promise that the struggles of today would build a brighter tomorrow. Epilogue. A new dawn. The galaxy was changing. The syndicate was broken. The traitors of the council were gone. Humanity stood not as victims, but as leaders of hope. Fleets once feared across the stars now carried supplies to rebuilding worlds. Colonies once ignored by the council looked to Earth for guidance. And new alliances began to form, stronger than before. But humanity did not forget the cost. They carried Hale's memory, the battles fought, the sacrifices made. They remembered that strength without justice was only another kind of shadow. As Earth's fleet sailed into the future, a message spread across the stars spoken by every soldier, every citizen, every child who had lived through the storm. We are human. We endure. And we will never be silenced. The galaxy listened, and it believed. Closing words thus ended the tale of betrayal and vengeance, of loss and triumph. From the assassination of a leader rose the unity of a people. From the darkness of the syndicate came the light of justice. Humanity had arrived, not in whispers, not in doubt, but in force. And the stars themselves would remember.